What did your school waste money on that nobody liked? The large schoolyard at my school had a set of planters in the center. They were basically 4 triangles made of brick that pointed in at each other and created an X-shaped walkways between. The outside sides had a bench each attached. People would sit and chat to each other on the benches, teachers and students alike. There was very little litter or vandalism. The plants were kinda pretty insofar as any secondary schooler would care to notice. One year a duck made her nest in one of the planters, and apart from a few "oh hey a duck nest" comments, it was left alone. Then for some reason the school decided to rip the planters out. Took them 2/3 of the school year to do it, and blocked off the X walkways so everyone had to crush by on the outside lanes between classes. Everyone was super curious as to what the planters would be replaced by. Turns out, nothing. They simply bricked over the holes left by the planters and left it as a huge empty space. We didn't even get new benches, so no one had anywhere to sit during break. People started to miss the plants since the lack of color left the whole area kinda bland. We also kept to the old X walkway since stepping over the former planters felt weird. My university has started a program / coalition / I'm not sure because they won't talk about it, that is buying up all of the property, bars, next to campus and is putting in chain retail stores and luxury apartments, thereby killing the campus atmosphere. Oh, and a fucking clock tower. While my department and all of the arts and sciences departments are struggling financially, perhaps needless to say I almost certainly won't return to continue my education. My high school wasted a ton of money buying 2 golf carts. Their reasoning was it allowed staff to get to any dangerous scenes faster. Except we never had any accidents and they were mostly used for joyrides by the hall monitors. The college I work at put a bench in memory of a girl who was raped and killed 200 meters in the woods behind the building. Guess who sits on a bench dedicated to a murdered girl? Exactly, no one. It's also in a prime spot and now they can't move it or they'd look bad. They should have put a tree like you normally do instead. And then her body was thrown around and set on fire by 4 dumb students who stumbled on it, ruining chances the police could find clues on who killed her. Edit. It was 4 students, not 2. When I was still a student, my school spent almost $200k to paint the roads outside our school. You read that right. Almost $200,000 of our precious tuition dollars to paint the roads outside blue and yellow. To pour salt on this painful wound. The paint job didn't even make it through winter. So just to reiterate, $200,000 for 3 months of painted road. I think I'm still angry about it. My school just spent tens of millions of dollars on a remodel that includes a new commons and front office area, which were not needed, but no new classrooms, which were desperately needed. The old commons was warm, inviting, bright and beautiful. It wasn't old. The new commons is dark, cold, sterile and uninviting. The exterior was changed too. The entire front of the school used to be attractive. Now it looks like a prison. I think maybe the architect presented the design as a joke, but our principal liked it so the architect just rolled with it. My school built a trim trail. It's like an obstacle course for kids. A few of the students in our year group designed it using green treasury tags and painted lollipop sticks. Fast forward a few months, the company they got to build it must have literally used this children's model as a design document. It had green ropes with T-metal parts on the end just like treasury tags, and was painted in this horrendous brown color, literally the same as the model. It was an utter disaster to behold, but that's not even the best part. The first kid who got to play on it was one of the few that designed it. He jumped, grabbed the metal T-things, and it ripped open his hands and he fell, breaking his leg. No one was ever allowed to play on it after that. They built a metal fence around it so no one could play on it instead of pulling it down. They demolished the school eventually with this unused green and brown abortion of pain and anguish still fenced into its immortal grave. Edit. I found it on old Google Maps data OMG. In 2011 my college spent $32,000 to have Snooki come in as an inspirational speaker in some misguided attempt to connect with freshmen. Around the same time there was a growing student-led movement to make the school more affordable. The student board revolted. People confronted her during her speech. It was a glorious mess. My high school spent a bunch of money on this system to play popular songs for the last minute of passing time between classes, so we'd hear popular music, and as a convenient way to know to get to your next class. Then they started playing Friday by Rebecca Black every Friday once, then it was the only song on Fridays. Then it was the only song. Every day, 5 times a day. Thank God that was my senior year. No idea if they still do it. My school wasted so much money on plastic iPoint cards that you were supposed to scan into every room to assure you were there, and the IDs were also keys to get into the buildings. If you didn't have your card, you didn't get in, and also get in school suspension. It wasn't a bad system BC, you could easily take a photo of your iPoint to scan into rooms, but you'd have to bum a buddy to get into a building. But once there were internet problems, the whole system would shut down, and living in a rural wheat town, you could expect wind and rain and tornadoes and all that fun junk. I went to a Catholic high school. Very few of the students were actually Catholic, and went there because the local public school district was terrible. We won some contest or grant and the school said they would allow the students to pick what the money was spent on. The options were new flooring for the gym, renovate the courtyard next to the chapel into a prayer garden, or renovating the courtyard next to the cafeteria into an outdoor eating space. Most people voted for new gym floors, and some people voted for the outdoor eating space. I do not know of anyone who voted for the prayer garden. Guess what won? The prayer garden. People, even teachers, were furious as the voting was clearly rigged to give us the appearance of a choice. If they really wanted a prayer garden, they should have just done the work without putting it to a vote. The funny thing about the prayer garden is that they actually made it nice and put in benches and plants and whatnot, but it was always locked and never used. Administration would often say during tours, "Oh, look at a lovely prayer garden for students." They voted for it. No, we didn't. My school buys so much useless things. Or at least when I went to, they dump all their money on the football team. Obviously the football team doesn't really care, but other people did. One thing that everyone has a common hatred for, that the school bought, even the football team, is the inflatable the school got. From what I heard it costed about 4k. It's this big ass inflatable that people could walk through. The inflatable has the school's mascot on it, and it's just plain weird. There were so many ways the school could spent that money on, but they choose to spend it on stupid inflatable that is only used like 3 times a year. I work at a high school, and even though our football team is generally not good, we got a new field a few years ago. Not because the team was good and deserved it. It was because the state regulations and requirements changed regarding player after, and so a new safer type of turf was required to be installed. When I started secondary school, we had a canteen with proper home-style food being served. Cooked fresh, real meat and vegetables, good portion sizes. All the students loved it, and it was well used. School decided to replace this with a fast food style setup with processed burgers and fries to try and appeal to the kids, and up the prices, too. Within a month, nobody visited the canteen anymore. Practically every kid in the school started bringing food from home. It took 3 months till they changed everything back again. Massive expense for absolutely no reason. Instead of funding a decent sexual education program, they spent money revamping the early child education class and tried to encourage boys to take the class. It wasn't a complete disaster as I really liked the class, but most students thought it was pretty dumb. The teacher told me they didn't even come closer to filling all the slots. A lot of the new things they bought for the class went unused, and I think we only had one guy take the class in 2 years. Parents were mixed on it, but this was the South like 15 years ago. Overall, students didn't like it, and a lot of money was wasted. Last year my high school wanted to get more students involved in home management and home maintenance, so it started a home maintenance course. They hired a former handyman to teach, and it was really expensive. Very few students participated, and the school just blew a lot of money on hiring someone they didn't need, and supplies that nobody used. Oh, it's my time to shine. When my high school was being built, there was a huge automatic flagpole in the design and an indoor pool. They only had money for one of these outstanding features. The pool would have been used by the whole district for swim meets and other fun activities. The flagpole just made the school look like a mall from an 80s teen movie. They left the decision up to the principal. He picked the flagpole. Every other school in the district hated us because of that stupid pole. The best part, it didn't work in the rain. It didn't work in the rain. In southeastern coastal city, where it rains like 200 days a year. When I was in middle school, we all got a free period. Every couple months they would have a pep rally that we had to go to during our free time. They were incredibly boring, and you had assigned seats, so you couldn't sit by your friends. They would always say stand up and cheer for this and that, and when no one did they threatened to cancel the pep rally. So naturally we would do everything we could to make that happen, but it never did.